Hey everybody, welcome back to Game Junction. Doing another news article. I'm Mark here with my co-host Brandon. What's up?
What's up? What's going on? Want to check out some news?
Yeah, we got an article from GoNintendo.com. Rumor, Illumination, if I can say that right, working on a new Legend of Zelda movie. So it's nothing official yet, but it's kind of rumored. They're talking a little bit about that. Do you have any upfront thoughts before we get into the article, Brandon?
I mean, it's been a rumor like a million times in the past. Like there was like a big one that went around. I actually reported on it for a Netflix exclusive series. So I can buy this one a little bit, and the fact that they're the guys making the Mario movie that's getting ready to
Yeah,
come out. Like at this point, they'd already be working on another project. So
but
I would love to see it.
yeah,
But
I
yeah,
was just gonna say I would guess a lot of this is going to hinge on how successful the Mario movie really is commercially. It's going to determine whether this goes any further than like essentially the pre-production that they would be in
yeah,
at this point, which is like just early form planning where you just have like a handful of writers and maybe a director or producer just kind of like talking through things with
yeah.
people at Nintendo.
They got meetings going on. I mean, really, if it's that early on, they might not even have like a director or anything
Yeah,
yet. So
I
I
would
can, I
assume
can,
it's early discussion. A lot of it's probably is hinging on how well the Mario movie does. That would be my guess. It's we have to wait for that to go through and just kind of see what's going on. Then probably we might hear something for sure in maybe a year that hey, this is kind of moving forward. But I would
yeah,
assume it's just a wait and see at this point. So we got this article: rumor Illumination working on a Legend of Zelda movie. Nintendo going all in on movies? Question mark? Because I have to say the question mark. They got a nice little graphic up there, throwing pretty much like all the Zeldas from maybe not all the games, but a good chunk of them.
yeah.
So we'll go in. Giant freaking robot has reported that Illumination, the studio behind the upcoming Super Mario Bros. Movie, will also be leading their talent to an animated Legend of Zelda film. This information comes from their own trusted and proven sources. These sources apparently predicted other big movie news, such as Henry Cavill not returning to play Superman and Hugh Jackman reprising the role of Wolverine for Deadpool 3. A Zelda movie would also make sense given Nintendo's recent efforts to spreading their franchise outside of games and Miyamoto's own testament to having a good relationship with Illumination. As with all rumors, though, we highly suggest taking this information with a grain of salt. Even if the information is true, the movie industry is extremely volatile, and it's possible that plans could change for whatever reason. Also, considering how long it takes for animated films to be created, don't expect to see an official confirmation for this project for a long time. But after kind of reading that, I guess it's pretty much along the lines of what we kind of expected going into it. Did you have anything more in depth, essentially, to say?
I mean, I hope that we see that. Again, I don't like. I essentially agree with what you said before. We wouldn't see anything about this. I don't even think this year. Probably not
Probably
for
not. You might
2
hear
years. It wouldn't
more.
even hear.
I would assume the rumors would start bubbling up if the Mario movie does really well. You'll start probably hearing more rumors bubbling about, hey, this movie's in pre-production. They're trying to move forward with something like this. But I mean, I guess it's probably a
Yeah,
good 2 or 3 years before we probably hear something for sure.
yeah. I mean, I so far what we've seen from the Mario movie, I think it looks great. I think they're doing a good job. I mean, they're a good studio. They made some big hits like the Minions stuff, huge franchise now. They've done really well with it. Um, I know that like we've talked on the podcast about the Mario movie a little bit. I'm
Yeah,
super excited about it. So I think I think they could do a good job with it. I think they could do it right. Their animation style I think could fit, especially like an Ocarina of Time sort of story, or maybe even like an early Zelda story.
yeah.
I think that that could fit that style of Link and Zelda
I,
pretty well.
I
So
think it does because for the most part, Mario, you're not seeing kind of like an anime style where it's like a flat 2D. We play in these games in like a 3D environment for most of their history at this point.
yeah,
So you're kind of used to seeing these guys in an open environment. And I guess Mario is a little bit difficult because it's kind of like a very Mario goes and saves the princess, jump on a bunch of turtles. It's
yeah,
very be harder to make an organic or not organic, but like a new story. Where with Zelda, outside of the very first game and Breath of the Wild, we're used to very heavy story-driven games that I could very easily see transitioned into a movie essentially. So I don't think
yeah,
it's far
yeah.
fetched to be able to make a Zelda movie. It's just a matter of Is it gonna retell a game we've already played? Is it gonna be a new movie that kind of falls into the timeline, or are they just gonna do their own separate thing where it's Zelda, but it's not connected to any of the games? Which, at least to me, the last option would make the most sense.
Yeah, I think that even like the original Zelda cartoon, like in Illumination style, I think that could work that way. Like they always have that comedic tone, which that show had.
Well, what is it
And I
from the?
think that
I don't know if this is it from one of the games or from the shows where it's like Link always goes, "Excuse me, princess."
Well, excuse me, princess.
It's like a meme at this point. I thought those were
Philips
from,
CDI games.
but you
Yeah,
see that and you're like, that looks like an old '90s, '80s animated Zelda series, kind of
it's
like.
very similar, but they had like an actual Zelda cartoon.
Yeah, I do remember. I've never played the CD. I've never watched the show. Maybe clips here and there on YouTube, but I've never actually sat down and watched it, so I wasn't sure what was from it. But most people that's seen the animated Zelda think of that, what is now like a meme pretty much at this point.
It is, yeah, super popular meme. All those Nintendo CDI games for sure. Just a little bit off point. Those games are going for crazy money now. I've gotten a CDI and I've looked, and the prices in 2022, the prices are outrageous.
Doesn't surprise me.
Excuse me, princess.
Well, excuse me, princess.
I'm sure you probably find it emulated probably at this point. It'd be worth
I'm
spending
sure.
the ungodly amount of money.
But I think like even the comedic tone that the actual cartoon had, which those CDI games had too in their cutscenes, but I think that could be a style that works well. But the problem is that they're not going to have Link talk, so that's the hurdle, right? They're not going to have him talk. It would have to be
in a show.
Thing. I just don't know. I don't know how it would
I think
work,
you'd
right?
have to.
It's never happened in a mainline game ever.
But it's not a game. It'd be a movie. Link would have.
I mean,
to
I
talk.
guess that's the discussion, right?
I don't think it would be that
talk,
controversial. Link doesn't talk because you're him essentially. There's no real need for him because it feels like the game in a lot of sense kind of acts like he talks, whether they play it. He's kind of silent, but you get the feeling that he talks. You just don't see that interaction, just because they've always done this. Why change that formula now? But you get the feeling like there's been interaction between Link and certain characters in games. He's just not straight out coming and talking to you.
I think that doing the noises that Link makes, when he swings a sword or whatever, or rolls, I think that they could make that work with having just the facial expressions, the noises. Like if there's anybody that's in the animation scene, I think Illumination could make that work. Do I want that? I don't know.
I really
don't know.
No.
Whatever works well, but
because
I think that they could, which is a good thing. That's
but you had the same people
thing.
Bring that up with Mario, because Mario's in the same situation, except there's a lot less dialogue from most everybody.
Yeah.
I
think
said
his name though, right? Like a bajillion times.
I think Link would talk, and I think he would have to talk. I'm sure you could do it, but that'd be a very unique style of movie.
Exactly. But
and I don't think they would go with that. I just think it'd be too. They would just have him talk normally, and you're just gonna throw it into the story.
There's been like heavy debates for years since the days of Insider. I was on Nintendo's forums. That people never wanted Link to talk. Like, it doesn't make sense.
But
it
would be
the only time he's ever talked is.
It's a movie. It's not a game, though, and I would assume the time it wouldn't fall within the time of the game. So he would talk, but it's only for this. I don't think they're going to change the games at this point. I just
hard
don't think
to
they
say.
would.
Wouldn't it be cool though to see like a canon movie that fits somewhere in one of the 3 timelines? I think that would be cool. Like we'd have
it would be cool. I think it would be better if I think it just causes too many. You'd cause too many issues with people not wanting to recognize it with the timeline. I think it would just be too. I don't know if it'd be controversial, but I think it would cause too much of a headache with the timeline. It's just easier to leave a movie in its own timeline essentially and have the games be their own timeline.
And then that also doing that gives you the option of having sequels in their own timeline. And
that way you don't have to worry about.
We didn't even get a Zelda timeline until like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So,
but I would hate to play a game and then you have to watch a movie between another game. It's like, That's a neat story. I would like to play that story. I don't want to watch it. Essentially,
It could be a standalone story, but like it could
it's
still.
a.
Like,
I assume it
fit
would be
in.
standalone, but it would still technically be its own timeline thing.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Assuming
And I will say
people didn't like it, they could ignore it. Essentially,
on that subject, Nintendo, I want an official Mario timeline. That's all I got to say.
what do you need? It's Mario. Mario kills turtles and saves the princess. What is there to have a timeline for?
I want to know what games to play in order and how to explain the story.
The
of
way they
Mario.
got released, there's no story with Mario like there is Zelda, so there's no point.
I want a timeline.
I think you're trolling me at this point.
No,
Why don't you, you make your own timeline?
want
You
a
pitch it to me. I'll pitch
Oh,
it to
they're-
Nintendo. We'll
They're
see.
out there. Trust me. There's tons of guest timelines that people have put out. They're all over.
With no
Check
context
Reddit one
at all.
day with a little bit of context, but not much. But no, in serious note, I
straight
I
platformer.
think I think that I think this would be cool. I'd like to see what they would do with it. We're not seeing anything for a long time, for
Yeah.
sure.
I would say,
but-
depending on how the Mario movie goes, I think will heavily influence this. I think it can be done. It's just a matter of how it would do, and I assume probably another 4 or 5 years. I would assume we'd have to wait. But
Yeah,
I
and
guess
then
we'll see.
I do want to acknowledge that they talked about the Star Fox movie had been rumored like not that long ago as well. So it's like it's a little bit of clashing. But I think that this would be the next obvious step. I do, however, think that Star Fox could work as an animated movie a heck of a lot better than even Zelda, and I want to see Zelda. It's
But I think
my
Zelda's
top 2 series.
I think it's they're if they're gonna make movies of their franchises, they're gonna hit their biggest franchises first, and then they might trickle down to some of their smaller
Yeah, I think-
franchises. Because
I
I
think
mean,
so, too.
Star Fox has been irrelevant since the mid '90s. Let's be realistic.
Yeah, no, I agree. Star Fox doesn't sell. I mean, for Nintendo, it sells, but generally it doesn't.
Star Fox
doesn't
peaked.
sell the way that Zelda.
Star Fox peaked
So-
with the 64, and they've just never been able to recapture the magic for whatever reason. So
Yeah, I think this could be good. So
I think so too. So hey, if you have any comments, you agree, you disagree, you got something else to say, let us know down in the comments below. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up, give us a sub. If not, we'll see y'all next time. Peace.
peace.